The individual who cares for you deeply might avoid you for two specific reasons. Love is not always about sweet talk or constant focus. At times, love feels like a quiet room or a sense of absence. Occasionally, the person who loves you most is the one who pulls away, who ignores your presence, or acts cold when you want them near. You might sit there wondering if they truly care or why they are being so distant. If you are important to them, why do they act like you are not there? The answer is not simple, but it is not meant to be mean either. When someone avoids you despite having deep feelings, it usually comes down to two hidden reasons and two fears that control the human heart. Let us look at them step by step. First is the fear of losing their own identity in you. Love is very powerful. When someone falls hard, their feelings no longer belong just to them. Suddenly, their joy depends on your mood and their peace depends on your presence. Their whole day changes based on your attention. That intensity can be too much to handle. Think about standing under a giant waterfall. At first, it feels great and exciting. But if you stay too long, you feel like you are drowning. That is how strong love feels to someone who is not ready to be taken over by it. So they step back. They ignore you and create space, not because they love you less, but because they love you too much. Psychologists call this the fear of engulfment. It happens when love feels so strong that a person worries they will lose who they are inside it. They fear losing their freedom and becoming too weak. They worry that if they give everything, they won't know who they are without you. So they use silence as a shield. They ignore your texts, avoid your eyes, and stay quiet. It is not because they aren't thinking of you, but because they think of you constantly. Their silence is not a rejection, it is a way to protect themselves. In real life, they might see your text right away, but wait hours to send a reply. They do this because they fear saying too much too fast. They avoid looking at you in public, but when you turn away, they can't stop watching you. They keep talks short, but when you leave, they repeat your words in their mind. It is as if they are telling themselves to stay back and not get too close. Yet every step away is full of desire. Every ignored text is actually valued. Every silence is filled with thoughts of you. Ignoring becomes their way of catching their breath because the love feels heavy on their chest. Second is the fear of losing you completely. Sometimes people avoid you not to protect themselves, but to protect the bond. This is the fear of being left behind. It is the fear of losing the one person they cannot live without. When someone truly loves you, their doubts grow louder. They wonder if they are good enough or if you will leave one day. This fear makes them pull away. They avoid you because they want you too much. They believe that if they stay too close, you will see their faults. They worry that if they show their soft side, you will think they are weak. They fear that if they show how deep their love goes, you might run away. So they hide behind silence and act cold even when their heart is on fire. This is linked to attachment anxiety. People with this fear think love is easy to lose. Instead of risking the pain of loss, they act like they don't care. But inside, they are overthinking every word you said and worrying about every pause in your voice. Ignoring becomes their strange way of holding on. They think if they stay distant, they won't scare you away. They think if they act tough, you won't see how scared they are of losing you. But love cannot be hidden forever. Their eyes and their actions eventually give them away. You might notice the people who ignore you the most are often the ones who show sudden bursts of kindness. One day they are silent, and the next they are full of affection. This is not confusion. It is love caught between the fear of losing themselves and the fear of losing you. They swing between these two sides, pulled by want and pushed by fear. You can tell if this silence comes from love by looking for small signs. Their energy changes when you walk in. They watch you even when they don't speak, and they seem nervous rather than bored. They always find a small reason to come back to you eventually. Their eyes will always tell the truth. If someone ignores you out of love, do not chase them or demand answers. That often makes them run further away. Instead, be patient. Give them room, but stay close enough to be steady. Show them that love is not a trap or a threat. Be kind, because fear is hiding behind that silence. The best way to fix this is through comfort. Let them know that loving you won't change who they are and that you won't leave if they show their feelings. Love can be a safe and steady home. In the end, the person who loves you might ignore you because they are afraid of losing themselves or losing you. Both fears come from love, not from a lack of caring. Every silence is a call for help, not a push away. Deep love can be scary. It makes people run even when they want to stay. But remember, even when they are quiet, they are thinking of your name. Their distance is just another way of being close. Their silence is just love trembling behind a wall of fear. If this message helped you, feel free to like, share, and follow us for more. Thank you for your support. When this silence continues, you might feel like you are losing your mind. You begin to question your own worth, but you must realize that their distance is a reflection of their internal battle, not your value. This leads to the next truth. The more someone cares, the more they try to control the situation. By ignoring you, they feel they are back in the driver's seat of their own heart. They are trying to prove to themselves that they don't need you as much as they actually do. It is a test of strength that they are playing against themselves, and unfortunately, you are caught in the middle of it. You might notice that they are most distant right after a very close or vulnerable moment. If you had a deep talk or a beautiful day together, they might vanish the next morning. This is because the safety alarm in their head went off. They felt too connected, too exposed, and too real. To balance the scales, they pull back into the shadows to regain their footing. This cycle of pulling close and then pushing away is exhausting for you, but for them, it feels like survival. They are trying to love you without letting that love break them apart. To move forward, you have to stop participating in the game of hide and seek. When they ignore you, do not respond with anger or by ignoring them back. That only confirms their fear that love is a battleground. Instead, stay emotionally still. When they finally reach out, and they always do, welcome them with a calm spirit. Show them that your love is a constant, not a reaction to their moods. Over time, your steadiness will act like a bridge, helping them walk over their fears and realize that they don't have to choose between their identity and your heart. True healing happens when both people realize that silence is a heavy burden to carry. If you are the one ignoring the person you love, ask yourself what you are truly protecting. Usually, you are protecting a version of yourself that no longer needs to exist. You're allowed to be seen, you're allowed to be vulnerable, and if you are the one being ignored, remember that a heart in hiding is still a heart that beats for you. Patience is the only key that fits a lock made of fear. Understanding the silence is the first step, but living through it requires a different kind of strength. You must realize that when someone hides behind a wall of silence, they are often waiting for you to prove them wrong. They are waiting to see if you will disappear the moment things get difficult. This is a quiet test of loyalty. They are asking without words if you are strong enough to handle their complexity, and if you are brave enough to stay when they are acting pushy or cold. It is a painful way to seek safety, but for a fearful heart, it feels like the only way to know if a connection is real. You may also find that their silence grows louder during your own moments of success or joy. This happens because they fear that as you grow or find happiness, you will eventually outgrow them. They ignore you to prepare themselves for the rejection they think is coming. They are trying to get used to the idea of life without you before you even have a chance to leave. This is the tragedy of a fearful lover. They ruin the present moment because they are so worried about a future that hasn't happened yet. They pull away to save themselves from a heartbreak they are actually creating. To break this cycle, you must lead by example. You cannot force them to speak, but you can create an environment where silence isn't necessary. Speak your truth even when they are quiet. Share your day even if they don't share theirs. By remaining open, you show them that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a superpower. You show them that being seen is not a threat to their freedom. Eventually, the warmth of your consistency will melt the ice of their avoidance. They will realize that they don't have to choose between being themselves and being with you. In the end, remember that love is a journey of coming home to oneself while walking with another. If someone is ignoring you out of love, they are simply lost on the path. They are trying to find their way back to a place where they feel safe enough to be loved. Your role is not to drag them back, but to keep the light on so they can find their way. Love is patient, and love is kind, but most importantly, love is staying present when everything else feels like it is fading away. Trust the bond even when you cannot hear the words. When the silence lasts a long time, it starts to feel like a heavy weight. You might start to feel like you are the problem, but you must remember that their behavior is about their own internal struggle. This leads to a deeper truth. The more someone values you, the more they might try to control their feelings. By ignoring you, they feel like they are back in charge of their own heart. They are trying to prove to themselves that they don't need you as much as they actually do. It is a test of strength they are playing against themselves, and you are simply caught in the middle. You will often notice that they are most distant right after a very close or emotional moment. If you had a great talk or a perfect day together, they might disappear the next morning. This is because a safety alarm went off in their head. They felt too connected and too exposed. To feel safe again, they pull back into the dark to find their balance. This cycle of pulling close and then pushing away is very tiring for you, but for them, it feels like a way to survive. They are trying to love you without letting that love change who they are. To fix this, you have to stop playing the game of chasing them. When they ignore you, do not get angry or start ignoring them back. That only makes them more afraid that love is a fight. Instead, stay calm and steady. When they finally reach out, and they always do, welcome them with a kind heart. Show them that your love is a constant thing, not something that changes based on their moods. Over time, your steadiness will act like a bridge, helping them walk over their fears and realize they can be themselves while still being with you. True healing happens when both people realize that silence is a very heavy burden to carry. If you are the one ignoring the person you love, ask yourself what you are truly protecting. Usually you are protecting a version of yourself that is afraid to grow. You are allowed to be seen and to be open. And if you are the one being ignored, remember that a heart in hiding is still a heart that beats for you. Patience is the only way to open a lock made of fear. Love is not about winning. It is about staying present even when the words stop. Eventually, you must face the reality of the long-term silence. When someone ignores you out of love, they are often stuck in a loop where they wait for you to give up so they can say they were right all along. They have a voice in their head telling them that everyone eventually leaves, so they push you to see if you will stay. This is a silent cry for reassurance. They are testing the floor to see if it will hold their weight. If you react with frustration, they see it as proof that the connection is too stressful. But if you stay peaceful, you slowly dismantle the walls they have built. There is also a hidden part of this behavior that deals with guilt. Sometimes a person ignores you because they feel they don't deserve the depth of love you are offering. They look at your kindness and your patience, and they feel small. They wonder why you are still there when they are being so difficult. This guilt makes them hide even more. They feel that by staying away, they are doing you a favor. They think they are saving you from the messiness of their own emotions. It is a sad cycle where they hurt you in an attempt to stop hurting you. You have to realize that you cannot fix a person who is not ready to be found. While patience is a virtue, you must also maintain your own light. Do not let their silence become your darkness. Continue to live your life, chase your dreams, and be happy. Ironically, when they see you being strong and independent, it often makes it safer for them to return. They realize that you are not a trap they will get lost in, but a person they can walk beside. Your happiness shows them that love doesn't have to be a heavy burden that stops the world from turning. In the final stages of this struggle, the silence will begin to crack. You will notice they start to share small, unimportant things just to hear your voice. They might send a song, a picture, or a simple greeting. These are the first steps of a heart coming out of hiding. Treat these moments with care. Don't demand an apology for the silence, and don't ask for explanations right away. Just be there. Let the warmth of the present moment wash away the coldness of the past. Love wins when the fear of being alone finally becomes greater than the fear of being known. As time goes on, you might start to wonder how long you can wait. It is important to understand that while their silence is about their own fear, your time and your heart are valuable too. There comes a point where the silence must turn into a conversation for the love to survive. Love needs air to breathe and words to grow. If you have provided the space and shown the patience, the next step is to gently invite them back into the light. You can do this by sharing how you feel without blaming them. Instead of asking why they are quiet, tell them that you miss their voice. This shifts the focus from their fear to your connection. You must also look at the difference between someone who is afraid and someone who is indifferent. A person who ignores you out of love will still show they care through their actions, even if they aren't speaking. They will show up when you truly need them, or you will catch them looking out for your well-being from a distance. However, if the silence is empty and cold, without any signs of warmth or care, you must be careful. Love should be a place of rest, not a constant source of pain. Reassurance is a gift you give to someone who is struggling, but it should not come at the cost of your own mental peace. The final goal is to move from a place of fear to a place of trust. Trust is built when two people decide that the risk of being hurt is worth the joy of being together. When the person who ignores you finally starts to open up, encourage that growth. Small steps are still progress. Maybe they start by sharing a small worry or a tiny dream. Celebrate these moments. They are signs that the walls are coming down and that they are beginning to trust you with their true self. They are learning that they can be loved for exactly who they are, without any masks or shields. In the end, the journey through silence teaches you the true meaning of devotion. It shows you that love is not just a feeling, but a choice you make every day. It is the choice to stay when things are quiet, to believe when things are uncertain, and to be kind when things are hard. When two people finally move past the fear of losing themselves and the fear of losing each other, they find a love that is deeper than they ever imagined. They find a partnership where silence is no longer a weapon or a shield, but a peaceful space they share together. Eventually, you will realize that the silence is not a permanent wall, but a bridge under construction. To reach the other side, you must understand that the person who loves you and ignores you is often waiting for a sign that it is safe to stop being afraid. They are waiting for a moment when the silence feels less like a shield and more like a weight they can finally put down. This is the stage where the relationship moves from surviving fear to building true intimacy. It is a slow process of teaching two hearts that they can beat as one without losing their individual rhythm. The most important thing to remember during this transition is that you cannot force the ending. You can only provide the environment where growth is possible. If you try to pull them out of their shell too fast, they will only hide deeper inside. But if you remain like the sun, steady, warm, and predictable, they will eventually move toward you on their own. They will start to realize that the love they feel is not a storm that will drown them, but a light that helps them see clearly. They will see that by letting you in, they aren't losing their freedom. They are gaining a partner who makes that freedom even more meaningful. When the silence finally breaks for good, the bond often becomes stronger than it ever was before. This is because it has been tested by the hardest of human emotions. You have both looked at the fear of being lost and the fear of being left behind, and you have chosen to stay anyway. This creates a deep sense of security that words alone can never provide. You now know that even when things get quiet, the love remains. You know that even when one person pulls away, the other will hold the space. The silence that once felt like a rejection has now transformed into a quiet understanding. In the final reflection, look back at the journey and see the beauty in the struggle. The person who ignored you wasn't trying to hurt you. They were trying to handle a love that felt bigger than they were. By being patient and staying present, you helped them grow into a version of themselves that is brave enough to be loved. Love is a journey of two imperfect people refusing to give up on each other. Even in the deepest silence, remember that your heart is being heard. Even in the furthest distance, remember that you are being held. Love is the courage to stay, the strength to wait, and the wisdom to know that the best things in life are often worth the silence. As the cycle continues, you will eventually find that the silence begins to lose its power over you. You start to see that the quiet moments are not a lack of love, but a pause for breath. This stage of the journey is about reaching a place of total acceptance. You accept that the person you love has a unique way of processing their feelings, and they accept that your presence is a safe harbor rather than a cage. When you stop fighting the silence and start understanding it, the tension in the relationship begins to fade. The walls of fear do not fall down all at once. They melt away slowly as trust replaces the need for protection. You will also come to realize that this experience has changed you for the better. Dealing with someone who ignores you out of love teaches you a rare kind of emotional maturity. You learn that your happiness does not have to be a hostage to someone else's words. You become more grounded, more confident, and more compassionate. This growth is the hidden gift of a difficult love. It prepares you to handle any storm that life might throw your way. By learning to stay calm in the face of silence, you have mastered the art of loving without conditions. In the end, the person who was once afraid to be seen will finally step fully into the light. They will look at you and realize that throughout all their pulling away and all their quiet days, you never moved. This realization is often the ultimate cure for their fear. They see that they can be their most complicated, silent, and fearful self, and you will still be there. This creates a bond that is unbreakable because it is based on reality rather than a perfect fantasy. The silence that once felt like a barrier becomes a shared space of peace where no words are needed because the souls are finally at rest. The final lesson is that love is never really about the words we say, but about the space we hold for one another. Whether in loud laughter or in the deepest silence, true connection remains. The person who loves you a lot may still have moments where they pull back, but now you both know the way home. You have turned a wall of fear into a doorway of trust. Remember that the greatest loves are often the ones that had to survive the longest silences. Your story is a testament to the fact that love, when it is real, is always stronger than the fear that tries to hide it. In the final stage of this journey, you begin to see that love is not just about the connection between two people, but about the healing that happens within them. When the person who ignores you finally stops running, they are not just coming back to you, they are coming back to themselves. They realize that they no longer have to hide their heart to keep it safe. The silence that once felt like a cold wall becomes a warm blanket of comfort. You both reach a point where you can sit in the same room for hours without saying a single word, yet feel more understood than ever before. This is the peak of emotional intimacy, where the need for constant proof and attention disappears because the trust is absolute. You also learn that your own strength was the anchor that kept the relationship from drifting away. By not reacting with your own fear or anger, you gave them the greatest gift possible, a safe place to land. You taught them that love is not a fire that consumes everything in its path, but a steady light that guides you home. This journey through silence and distance proves that love is not a sprint, but a long walk taken side by side. Even when one person slows down or stops for a moment, the other keeps the pace until they are ready to move forward again. This balance is what makes a relationship last a lifetime. Looking back, you will see that every moment of ignoring was actually a moment of growth in disguise. It forced you to look within and find your own peace, and it forced them to face the fears they had been carrying for years. The relationship is now built on a foundation of truth rather than a polished image of perfection. You have seen the worst of their fears, and they have seen the best of your patience. There is a beautiful freedom in knowing that you have survived the quietest storms and come out stronger on the other side. The final truth is that the person who loves you a lot will eventually stop ignoring you a lot because they finally believe they are safe. The two fears, the fear of losing themselves and the fear of losing you, are replaced by a single, powerful certainty. They realize that they are better with you than they ever were alone. The silence ends because the heart is finally full and has nothing left to hide. Love has won the battle against fear, and in that victory, there is a peace that goes beyond all words. Even when things get quiet again in the future, it won't be a sign of distance, but a sign of a love that is finally at rest.